Oh no, JW, what happened?
Oh, no, just kidding. It's a popcorn bucket. I'm sorry. It's a tee-hee thing. So welcome to Generation Movie on a Friday afternoon. We're gonna review Alien Romulus. We're not gonna give anything. We're not gonna give any big spoilers. So if you're worried about that, don't worry. We're just gonna talk in broad strokes, a little bit about the franchise, and then also about what this movie what it accomplishes in this newfangled form. If it is a newfangled form, we don't even know. Like, that's the thing about the Alien franchise is every couple years they take a crack at it. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they're too highfalutin for what they actually are. Although those are very enjoyable movies. My name is J.W. Colwell. This is Rich Drees, my co-host, my partner in crime. This is my Alien popcorn bucket that I got super early yesterday. Super cool. You can see the designs. He's a happy guy. He has little fingers that work and everything. I'm just going to set him to the side.
Just like also got the alien crab with his middle finger up like this.
That's to the haters, Rich. That's to the haters. I'll put it down. We don't talk like that here. We got a cool pin at the Dolby showing last night, and then I also got at the IMAX showing I went to yesterday a groovy Weyland-Yutani patch. So let's start with let's get everything out of the way. First and foremost, it's a great, fun, adrenalized, haunted house of a horror film. It harkens back to both Alien and Aliens specifically, but at points, and again, we're not giving anything away, hits on other movies in the franchise. But Alien and Aliens are the definitive they're the definitive movies that the movie is at its heart trying to be like. And for a long time during the Alien franchise, Rich, what we've had is people who Ridley Scott going back and trying to get philosophical, right, with Prometheus and with Alien Covenant, and we've had Paul Anderson, the bad one, doing an Alien versus Predator movie, and then a terrible Alien versus Predator sequel. We've had
I don't even consider them part of the franchise, honestly.
Yeah, they're on timeline, so you have to consider but they're just not up to par, right, with the rest of the franchise. And so go ahead.
I was gonna say, I kind of feel that they're so disposable. I don't think they add anything to the franchise at all. So when I think about the franchise, I just kind of push them out, which may or may not be fair. I acknowledge that. However,
I don't think anybody who's an Alien fan is gonna, or a Predator fan. I don't think anybody who's a fan of those two franchises goes, you know what, Alien vs. Predator is the best way to use the IP, right?
No.
So what I would say is, going into Alien Romulus, what you need to know is, and the questions you may have is, how does it compare? I think it's the best Alien movie since '86. So I think it's got so everything going for it, where Fede Alvarez knows what he likes, knows how to make great sequences, and then also has 3 or 4 key sequences that honestly I've never seen in the franchise. That I can't believe we've never seen in the franchise now that I've seen it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I don't want to give anything away, but there's some really great action sequences that are incredibly creative, where we just haven't seen it. He also delves a little bit further into the microbiology of it, and also what's happening when we're being attacked by a facehugger, or what happens, how graphic it actually isn't, that we've kind of we've shied away from, but we haven't really delved into. And I think go ahead.
I was going to say, there's one sequence in particular, and I'm only going to refer to it as this way. I'm calling it the Thomas Crown Affair sequence. I think you can understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I hope everybody else watching does.
elaborating any further.
Yeah, it's an tremendous sequence.
That kind of
creative.
Creativeness, that playfulness is like, oh, that's right, we can do this. We're not bound by this.
And it's set up early in the film. It's set up early in the film in something where you don't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so basically, the storyline is basically Weyland-Yutani sucks. We all know it sucks. It's a bad corporation that does bad things to people. But in this particular case, they've taken a person. Her name is Rain Carradine, and she is living off-world in a settlement that resembles LV-426 if they got everything up and running, and it wasn't besieged by alien eggs, right? So it's basically they're changing the atmosphere of this planet for colonization. There's 2,000 people there that haven't seen the sun in years, right? Since they've contacted. People have been sent into mines. People are dying. People are sick, and the corporation is kind of shitty. It always has been shitty, but I think
the corporation's always been the real villain of these movies.
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to say that. For the longest time, I think we look at the aliens, and the person that you have to really focus on in the Alien franchise is Carter Burke, right? It's the Paul Reiser character from Aliens, who basically is willing to kill everybody to get exclusive profit points on an alien through cryosleep, right? So that's who Weyland-Yutani is. They take advantage of people. They don't help people. They're not out to help people. They're only out to help themselves, either a bioweapons division or whatever. And what you have is Rain Carradine, who's basically this girl who finishes her allotment of work, and she wants to leave this horrible place, this horrible existence, no sunlight, no happiness. She has an android that was basically salvaged by her father, who has gone to great pains to make sure that this android takes care of his daughter, I think theoretically knowing he was going to die, right? Mm. So he sets her up with this robot, a protector sort of / somebody to pal around with.
And it's an interesting dynamic because as much as he is like protecting her, she's also protecting him.
Yeah, it's a fantastic dynamic because he's very much a mix of androids. Like, he's very much like the childlike David from the Prometheus films, right? Mm-hmm. And then, a plot point later, they take it they go another direction with it, and it's interesting, it's fun. But the two performers, Kaylee Spaeny and David Johnson, and two S's, Johnson, they are the best of the young cadre of performers. They are very good. Actually, I have no problem with anybody in the cast, really. The cast is a good young set of performers that are taking on an alien movie with a director who, Fede Alvarez is now somebody I have to pay attention to a lot. Like, not that I didn't like his movies or I didn't think anything of him, but he's now made Don't Breathe, which is a great original, action horror film. He's made the Evil Dead reboot a couple years ago that was fantastically received and well done. And it's just a really good Evil Dead movie. And now he's jumped into this sandbox where he is basically this director that not only looks at a sandbox and goes, I want to play in it, but he understands what's under the sand. Like, he knows to get the best out of a franchise with what people are looking for. And I think with this movie, he's achieved that. And the thing is, this franchise it's not on life support, or it wasn't dying, but it was in desperate need of a shock to the system that basically had somebody saying, I understand what a great alien movie is. A great alien movie is either, you're either doing the military thing or you're doing the haunted house thing. This one happens to be the haunted house thing that eventually becomes part of the military thing. And so it becomes this, he gets all of the pieces of the franchise. And so when you get them, you can go in and play and have a really creative action sequence, but you can also, just subtly throw nice a nice look on the past of a franchise, and he has it. Like I was walking out the other day, yesterday, and people were talking. It's like, you know what? He understands the franchise, and I can't even speak of the importance of a director not being indifferent to what a franchise is or what it's capable of. And sometimes we get directors that are like that, and sometimes there are even directors that are part of the franchise, like Ridley Scott. Like, I love Prometheus and I love Alien Covenant, but they're at times like they're so way up here when all we really need is like right in front of us, the adrenaline, the pulse pounding, the horror, the scariness. And this movie gets it. Let's get some comments and then.
Okay, yeah, let's get some comments first here then.
Good afternoon, Joe. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I thought this was not until 8 p.m. I'm glad I caught it. We're glad you're here, Gabe. Welcome, one of the hosts of our other shows. I know he caught it last night. The android is like a brother to her. Yeah, Andy and Rain is the key relationship in the movie. It's actually both heartwarming and bone chilling, depending on what scene you're at. Yeah, true. They protect each other. That's great. The asshole cousin pissed me off. Yeah, he's not nice. But one of the things about an alien movie is usually we get people that aren't great, and they end up, tattooed to a wall. Evil Dead reboot in 2013 was amazing. It is.
Good
picks up the reins of, he really picks up. This is a great comment by Gabe. Picks up the reins of a pre-existing franchise. Yeah, and like I said, it's not like it was. Romulus is definitely a great alien film, and then a beautiful balance of action and horror. I think the interesting thing here is, I think most people today are going, should I go see this movie? If you like the Alien franchise, this is a yes, right, Rich?
Now,
I mean,
definitely. Now I know some people were saying that the elements Alvarez is playing here with look like nostalgia bait because we've seen this before, we've seen that particular shot before in a different context. But to me, it wasn't anything I really thought about until after the film. I never disengaged because he was doing something similar, except for one moment again, and that was a shot, one single shot. I was like, oh, okay, he's mirroring this. But everything else was like, yeah, well, these are kind of elements of any alien film, and just try to sit there, and I've seen dismissing of some of the stuff as nostalgia bait among certain critics over the past week. I would disagree. It's like saying, well, oh yeah, they just included lightsabers in Star Wars, it's nostalgia bait. No, that's just a part of that world.
I think it's the difference between knowing what nostalgia is and knowing what a component of a franchise is, right? Like it's an alien movie we need a facehugger sequence. We need 2 or 3 action sequences that perk up our interest. And
I can see where some critics are feeling a little burned on the idea of nostalgia bait. Honestly,
we're coming off. I understand.
That very much is, on a certain level, some nostalgia bait. Not that I mind.
I would also argue that one of the things the franchise is always dealing with, and it's always something that's part of it, from the first 4 films. Ripley is one of the single greatest protagonists in film history. And I have no problem saying that. I have no problem saying that with she's up in my top 5 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really hard to make a protagonist in an alien film that you care about. It is really hard to not try to copy Ripley. Like, is she a tough chick? Is she alone? All these different things. But when you get an actress like Spaeny, who's kind of starting to build, right? She, she's in Civil War. She's, in Priscilla. She's building, right? She's building that career. It is very hard to create an alien female protagonist that you don't associate with Ripley. And I think it's one of the film's biggest strengths is that I was so wholeheartedly attached to her and Andy that I wasn't thinking of Ripley until a couple of the nostalgia bombs that happened that I like. That you know that if you're gonna have to tie something to something, the choices that are made in this script are pretty amazing choices to tie to, right? So some more comments. Let's see. The asshole cousin added some humor, though. Yes. There was a presence of both original 4 films and the prequels, and I love that. I disagree with the nostalgia bait claim too, Rich. Yeah, the nostalgia bait I think is a weak thing where you're just sick of seeing alien movies, but the nostalgia bait only comes into play for me if a movie is a failure, right? The nostalgia bait only works as an excuse to hate a movie if you feel the movie isn't good. That's what the immediate thing you go to. The problem with this movie is it's too good of a movie to go, it's nostalgia bait. It's too well done. The effects are beautiful. The effects are like, it looks like $1 million. It looks like they spent $100 million on this movie. It looks gorgeous. It has practical effects. It has, a couple CGI things that I think some of the people are bitching about. But I don't know that they're bitching about the CGI as much as they're bitching about the script choice. But you're going to have to deal with that. I don't hate the choice. I'm just going to call it the choice.
Yeah.
I don't hate the choice because one, I like the thing we're talking about. I miss him. You know what I mean? So, is it a jump scare driven flick? No. No, it is not. There are jump scares, but it is not jump scare derivative. It's more people trapped. It's got Poseidon Adventure qualities to it that I think are more apt than there are no cats in this movie. So there's not a single Jonesy jump scare, which, for Alien fans, like the moment Ripley leaves Jonesy on Earth in Aliens, everybody kind of went, that's a bold decision, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for the filmmakers. Romeo said something old and something new. That's what the franchise needed. I agree. Something old, something new. But, like, I don't know that it's new in the sense, but it's creatively shot by Alvarez. Right, the production design is fantastic. It looks like $1 million. It looks good. Like the visual effects in space look great. The practical effects of the creatures look great. You know what I mean? Like there's no stone left unturned, and it ties to all of the movies at various points. Specifically, yeah, I agree. The two are definitely relatable and characters I root for. Yeah, that's the thing. Most alien movies do not have characters like since '86. Since Alien 3, but Alien 3, I don't know if anybody knows as we're watching this review, but Alien 3 I've specifically detached from my mind because they killed everything that was meaningful to me in the first 10 minutes. So I've hated Alien 3 since that fucking cast credit sequence. They took my Hicks, they took my Newt, they took a badly damaged Bishop and made him worse. I can't get past that, even though I know it's well done. I just hate that movie in the past. Some scenes are good. It's not clear if the sequence used practical effects, CGI scene towards the end. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I think it's practical. It's not the choice. I want to make it clear, Gabe. The choice is not the end. The end is the end and the choice are two things Rich are not going to talk about, but they're different decisions. But I think
we may bring this up on Monday's regular show, though.
Yeah, we might bring it up on Monday's regular show just because
more people a chance to see the movie.
Yeah, and there's specific choices that are made that I think for the most part, almost all the choices work. One or two where you might go, I question that. And I know Joe, I was talking to Joe, and he said, I heard from somebody that CGI is really bad, and I think that might have to do with the choice and not the end. Right? So I think the choice CGI might be where you might have some questions, but
I didn't have a problem with any of it. Because I know I mean,
we're skirting around things.
Yeah, and I
don't
feel bad that
we're
very exclusionary to anybody who's not seen the movie yet or hasn't figured out what we're talking about.
Well, no, but like I think, yeah, we're not trying to be exclusionary. It's a matter of being very careful on the stones we step on. I just want, what I want to give with my review is basically, I have been a fan since '79. I saw Alien in 70mm with my parents. It was tantamount to child abuse. I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely child. It would definitely be child abuse today. I saw it in 70mm. It was terrifying. And then Aliens, when I was 12, was just a movie I gravitated with my cousin and my dad. My dad, who lost his job in '86, came all the way from New York to Pennsylvania just to take me to see Aliens. So I am so on board with this franchise. I have lived through Alien vs. Predator. I've lived through Prometheus. I have gone through all these movies. I own most of them. I don't own the AVP movies. But what I would say is, if you're scared, if you're like, oh, I've seen it before, there's a lot of creativity here from Alvarez. And I was telling you before the show, he's not necessarily a director that I immediately noticed. But now that we have Don't Breathe and we have Evil Dead, and he wrote Don't Breathe 2, and now he's diving into the sandbox, he is somebody that he is on my radar. And anytime he's associated with a movie now, I will go out of my way. And I don't really look at the stars, or I look at writing and I look at directors, right? And that's what you do. I think you do too. Who's writing this mess and who's directing this mess is essentially what we're going. And I think he loves the franchise and he just gets the franchise. Sometimes people get it. And, I told you when we were watching the trailers a few weeks back, I don't know, I'm just feeling good things, good juju vibes from this, where it's got me going in the right direction. It is a horror film set inside a space station set, that has action component elements that are like Aliens. It has a ticking clock. It has a great ticking clock. It is a fantastic ticking clock. That is essential to an Alien movie, by the way. Like I said, there are component pieces that, when people go, oh, it's nostalgia bait, there are component pieces to every Alien film, and it really is dependent on how they execute the ticking clock, right? So, for example, the ticking clock that we can talk about actively, although the one in this one isn't a bad ticking clock, it's really interesting. It gets sped up incrementally, but the ticking clock that I would reference if you're an Aliens fan would be, they go into the nest with guns. They try to collect the ammo because they can't shoot under the coolers, right, in Aliens. And basically they do end up shooting under the coolers. And then later in the movie, Bishop's looking at, they all are gathered around a window. And Ripley's, doesn't like Bishop. And she's, Bishop, why are we here and what are we looking for? And then you see a puff of smoke come out of the reactor in the foreground and in the window, and he's like, that. And then somebody, I think it's Hicks, who is one of my favorite all-time military characters, says, okay, how long do we got before it blows? Right? And it's a ticking clock on top of these razor-sharp, lethal creatures that are hunting you down as prey and also as stuff to procreate with, to be honest.
Yep.
I think and he has a couple of interesting sequences where we've a couple of parts of the franchise where we've never really delved into, that I think Alvarez has a really interesting take on the creature. We've seen Skin on the Floor and we've seen Warrior, right? We've seen Facehugger, Chestburster, Skin on the Floor, and Tall Boy is what they're called. And he gives us a new part of the birth cycle, which fairly awesome sequence when it happens. And it's, like I said, there's 3 or 4 sequences in the movie that I've never seen in an Alien movie that now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it, and I want to see it again. You know what I mean? And that's the best thing I could say about it. It's just one of those movies where it's an excellent roller coaster. I care about the characters. A lot of alien movies I go into, Rich. I'm looking at the cannon fodder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at that person's gonna get killed. I don't care about that person. The only two alien movies up until this one where I've only cared about one or two characters is pretty numerous. I cared about almost everybody in Aliens just from the breakfast scene, right? I care about everybody on the Nostromo because they're just hardworking people who are doing their job and they're not getting their bonuses. And let's get to that for a second. I want to discuss. I got an email from somebody, and I want to put this into the review. If you come to me knowing that I am a lefty, and I am, I have no problem saying it. I'm a reformed Republican. I am definitely a lefty now. If you come at me and you say, I don't like this alien movie because it's woke, and it happened, it happened recently, I'm going to say you don't know anything about Alien. I'm going to say you don't know a goddamn thing about Alien.
Did they define their terms as to why it was woke?
Well, because nobody can ever do that. When people do this stupid shit, they say it and they're like, well, it looks till, what is the Mary Sue thing or whatever, right? And all these things kind of come together to somehow bring politics into the movie theater, which and the sad part for me is I have to explain to them, I'm like, Alien had a female protagonist who is the single greatest female protagonist in the history of film.
First 4 movies did.
She said four movies where
we get Elizabeth, what's her name?
Oh yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Alien has always been ahead of the curve, and it's always been a movie of the working class. The original Alien, go back and watch the original Alien, and watch as Yaphet Kotto and and Harry Dean Stanton bitch about not getting enough money.
Elizabeth Shaw, thank you, Gabe.
Elizabeth Shaw, there we go. Yeah. Elizabeth Shaw, there we go.
Also, a good argument could be made for a number of other progressive ideas in the movie. Obviously, Weyland Yutani is a very harsh critique of corporations, corporatist America, end stage capitalism without any kind of checks or balances on it. This movie,
yes,
the
capitalism capitalism that is taken to the stars and is enslaving people in spaceships and on other planets.
I point this out in the last paragraph of my review for this movie. The idea that these movies are always very pro labor.
And I think
there was another one I just had that I just kind of slipped off my.
That's okay.
But
they're pro women. They're pro labor. They're pro. They're very, very much anti genetics, cloning, and whatnot like that. That is some. So I think it's always
pro
been
anti-arms. They're pro-arm. They're anti-arms race because basically, why does Weyland Yutani want a xenomorph? Because they want to figure out how to weaponize that.
Bioweapons division. It's always the bioweapons division.
Yeah, and so it's very much a critique on an arms race too. So
I just think it's funny. I just wanted to get it out there that if you come at me with that, I will laugh at you, and then promptly explain that you don't understand the Alien franchise in its entirety. Like you're not getting it, and it's okay. I think with this movie and with Alien Earth, there was I don't know if at your screening, I saw you saw it Monday, but last night they premiered a trailer on the front of this for Noah Hawley's show as well, which is coming to Hulu in I guess February, which is just Alien Earth is the name of the series now. So I came out of yesterday thinking, first off, I came out of the 3 o'clock showing I saw it as, and felt like a 12-year-old, so much so that I called the person I saw the movie when I was 12 years old with, and we had a lengthy conversation about how we need to see more of each other. And then also I came out of it thinking, if the franchise chooses to go forward with this timeline, with this cast, with this director, I have no problem with it. And that's another thing we should discuss really quick. The Alien timeline goes like this now. It goes, Prometheus, Covenant, Alien, Alien Romulus, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. And so if they choose to go towards this timeline, because there are obviously things in it where there could be sequel material, because people aren't stupid. They're gonna leave things. They're gonna leave things with, to hatch is a great way to say for the franchise. Let's see. Horror had female heroines protagonists just about any gender. Yeah, the Fauna Girl. You know what I mean? Like, films reconnect people. Yes, they should. I will say that was a really exciting thing. I know you saw it in a critic screening. I was in deep with 2 crowds yesterday. One in IMAX, one in Dolby. Everybody was gung ho. Everybody clapped at the end. Everybody was like, and that's the thing. It hits all of the right emotional core points, and it doesn't do them in a nostalgia way. There are nostalgia moments. I'm not gonna lie about that. But for me, it hits all the core elements of an Alien movie that you need in order to have an Alien movie, and it does them sometimes in strikingly creative fashion. And that's the best you can say. If you have a gifted director that somehow loves the material and says, no, we can do this. I can do this thing that you've never seen. And that's The Way, right? You were talking about The Way. Yeah. I can do something that you've never seen in an Alien movie. And you think to yourself, should I have seen it? I probably should have seen it. And then you realize when it's happening, you're like, I haven't seen it, and this is spectacular. Just spectacular. Got my screening tomorrow at 1 p.m. TJ Bowser.
Enjoy.
Good to know, TJ. And Joe was telling me you're interested in coming on to visit us on the Crow on Monday, so we'll be talking to you as well. Alien 3 Assembly Cut ranks high for me. I like the bleakness of that flick. You're coming in late, TJ. I'm going to tell you right now, I hate Alien 3 with the red hot passion of 7 Burning Suns. And there's a new series tie-in. I don't think the series and the film have anything to do with each other. I think I don't think Noah Hawley has anything to do with the Noah Hawley series. Has anything to do. I don't even know the timeline yet on the Noah Hawley.
I don't think they announced where the new that series
where the timeline is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't, and that's the thing. The thing about this franchise is it's been around. And Jerry writes, JW and Alien 3 don't mix. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I fucking hate that movie. I don't mean to. I can explain my psychosis really quick. I enjoy Aliens immensely. It's probably my favorite of the franchise. I know everybody loves Alien. Don't get me wrong. I love Alien too. But Aliens is my movie. And when you take away Hicks, who I love, you take away Newt, who I love, and then you make Ripley, not only do you put her on a planet with a bunch of fucking derelicts, fucking bad people, rapists, murderers, anything you could throw your hands up and go, oh my god, these are terrible people, we're going to ship them to this planet. Then you make Ripley cut open her child on the table with a bone saw. Or kind of like, we don't give a fuck. We're just, and like, see the red in her eyes, she's crying. That movie the bleakness of it is too much. It's overwhelming. I will say this movie has bleakness in it, but there is the youthfulness of the cast and the idea that we're not going to stand for being run over by the corporation is enlightening. It's nice.
Okay, I just did a quick little look online here, and Alien Earth is reportedly set 3 decades before Alien.
Wow. See, that has potential to actually fuck with the timeline. That has legit potential. But again, I don't know. But
I think it could end with Weyland-Yutani knowing about the aliens, about the xenomorph, and thus waking up the crew of the Nostromo to go investigate something takes on an even more sinister.
They become well, and I think that's where I think Hawley's been headed in that direction. That Weyland-Yutani, and that's something that I think Alien fans have known for a long time. I think folks who go to the movies are like, oh, scary things. These are super scary. I'm like, yeah, but they're not nearly as scary as the humans that are sending other humans to find these things. Like far worse. And I do like that Weyland-Yutani's back to its preeminent place as the shitbags of the series, right? So anyway, is there anything else you want to say? I wholeheartedly would say if you're an Alien fan, you have to go see it on a big screen.
Things. I mean, we talked about The Choice, which I think is going to divide some people, and there's a thing in the third act that I think is also going to divide some people as to whether it works or not. And those are discussions I look forward to having in the next couple of weeks, days and weeks.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into those right now, but overall,
the choice in the end are two things that I think one of the great things you can come out of an Alien movie with is discussing what's great about them. And they end up being daring decisions, and both of them are daring decisions. That's the other thing. They are daring decisions that I think some people can look at and go, well, maybe it's too much nostalgia, or maybe it's too much of relying on this or that. But in reality, they're decisions where the franchise has been going forever. The idea of birth, the idea of this parasite that can only have life by taking another life has been part of the franchise since John Hurt stared into an egg. And so it's a good show. Let's see what he says. Sorry, my comments are coming in late for some reason. My real time ones weren't. It's okay. It's okay, TJ. I won't hold it against you that you like Alien 3. I mean, I might hold it against you, but no, I won't. I'm kidding. And like I said, we hope to see you, for a couple minutes on, because we know you want to talk a little bit about The Crow, and we always like having an extra hand every once in a while. The series is going to focus on the formation of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, the rise of the android life, as well as tying to the xenomorph. I wonder if that is the case, I wonder if we're going to tie into the android life, and we're going to find out that one of the things that has occurred in the Alien franchise before is that Weyland-Yutani, the owner of Weyland-Yutani, knows the owner of the Tyrell Corporation. Just, we can dream, can't we? Because as everybody knows, I'm a huge Blade Runner fan.
It looked like he had silver eyes, silver eye reflection there.
Yeah,
I can't say certain, but
I can't. It was something interesting. Something interesting. Like I wish I could see through your eyes. I made your eyes. Anyway, sorry, that's a Blade Runner line being thrown into an Alien Romulus review. But I can't say enough. Go see it in a large theater with a lot of people, good sound, big screen. It's an event. It's fun. And lo and behold, we're going to have another great weekend at the box office, Rich Drees. All of a sudden, 2024 isn't the Armageddon of movie theaters.
Everybody was thinking, which is nice. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine just pulled ahead of the Joker to become the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time. So congratulations to those guys. The End of Us, or is it The End of Us? Whatever the Blake Lively thing is also going to be doing strong this weekend.
And
we've
this
got
movie, I'm going to say that the opening of this movie, it's an R-rated movie, but the opening of this movie is anywhere from 40 to 60 million. If it grosses anything over 60 million, Rich, it is a...
I'll be shocked, but
yeah, I'd be shocked as well. But I'm just saying, this is one of those movies like The End of Us, where the ranges are all over the place. Somebody said 40. I did get a box office thing from last night. 6.5 million in Thursday night openings.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts it on pace to open a better than expected over 40 million plus. And another win for the Disney empire. Oh, we're not tainted. We're not a tainted, jaded populace. Anyway, I can't recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun. I really like Kaylee Spaeny. I really like David Johnson. I do like the rest of the young cast too. Like, I think that's one thing. Alien movies sometimes have older casts that you might not be able to connect to if you're a younger person. This cast is an energetic young group of actors. Again, some of them are cannon fodder.
Well,
it's an alien movie. It's an alien movie. What do you expect? What do you expect? Oh wait, hold on. Gabe put up Forbes cites Alien Romulus scaring of 75 million. I don't know about that. That seems high. If it does, I think it's, you know what, Gabe? That's 75 million worldwide. So they're 40 here, 35 overseas, is what I think that is. But I think again, anything over 40 million is a win. Yeah, Gabe. Okay, I got you. Yeah, it's not that it's going to grow 75 domestic. It's 75 million worldwide. Alien, unfortunately, is not one of the franchises that travels extensively. It's very much a domestic franchise. We have a few of them around. But go see Alien Romulus this weekend. And if you're so inclined to join us, your humble film reviewers. Oh, some quick pictures, really quick. I just to give you an idea, like part of these pictures, right, tell a story, Rich, with this movie. It gets what the essentialness of the set design and the lighting is for an Alien franchise, for an Alien franchise movie, right? That's a fun little trick they play there. That little doohickey with that character. This is a fun little sequence that kind of takes a little bit from the Alien Resurrection sequence in the water, although not fully. This is, one of the big boys meeting somebody face to face, saying hi. Another one of the big boys, this one specially marked and scarred, saying hi. That's David, David Johnson as Andy. And before we go today, I do want to also say this, Rich, and as we're ready, as before we preview our show, the world lost a pretty great actress this past week, or a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Jenna Rollins was a one of one, right? She is an actress, a woman on the verge. Also, not is it a woman on the verge? It is a woman on the verge, right? Am I saying that wrong? Woman on the verge. Gloria, the fantastic Gloria from the 1980s, and then eventually, also, a huge spanning career. Also ends up in one of the biggest romantic films of all time with James Garner and Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. And she is a one of one with the people that were in her life, John Cassavetes and her son, Nick Cassavetes, all in the business. And she was just she was gifted. To say it best, Jenna Rollins was a one of one, right? An actress where we look at their films, and she's tough. She was a tough broad in the 70s, 60s, 70s, tough broad in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and she her career can't be replicated.
No, especially the what was it 7 films she did with her husband John Cassavetes.
They're
Those are
amazing films.
amazingly well worth your time, and I can't recommend them enough. Even
looking at the experience of marriage, the experience of love, the experience of actual men and women's relationships, how they change us, how they make us better, sometimes how they rip us apart. And she's just a one of one. You know what I mean? And we lose people all the time these days. The people that Rich and I, we look at and we go, like, I think you sent me a message or like, you're like, just so you know, Jenna Rollins passed away. I'm like, boo. You're like, don't boo me. It wasn't my fault. I'm like, I was just booing in general. It was a general boo.
No, that I completely am on your side about. It's just like I was just in a mood that moment when you said.
No, but I was really funny. I'm like, well, usually, don't blame me for this, ass. I was like thinking to myself, Rich never really, gets upset when I say boo. Anyway, it was a rare thing, but it was a boo moment. It was like, oh,
definitely.
She's just one of those actresses, and so take some time this weekend, maybe discover some of her movies. Maybe we'll get lucky, Turner Classics, or somebody will have a Jenna Rollins retrospective.
I don't. I mean, they generally take a week or two to kind of pull those things together at Turner Classics. I'm not saying that's always their time frame. I'm just saying, just thinking about it right now off the top of my head, simply because they have to find the films, make sure they have the rights and everything else, and then they have to schedule that in. And I kind of don't see them breaking into their Summer Under the Stars marathon through August. If they wait until like that first week of September, I wouldn't be surprised. But keep watching Turner Classics website for any schedule changes anyways, and just keep watching Turner Classics, period.
Very true. Also, so where can people find your stuff? I know you have the Film Buff Online review of Alien Romulus.
I have my Film Buff Online, filmbuffonline.com, where I have all my writings and reviews, including Alien Romulus, and The Jackpot, which just dropped on Amazon Prime Plus.
Awkwafina and John Cena.
Directed by Paul Feig. If you enjoyed Spy from about 10 years ago from Paul Feig, you're probably going to enjoy this. It's a little bit Hunger Games. It's a little bit The Purge. A dash of Americathon.
A smidge of Americathon that's the most interesting thing we've said in weeks on our shows. It's got a smidge of Americathon in it.
It's at least the deepest cut we've made in a few weeks. But it's a movie I enjoyed. Let me just check really quick. Of course, we've reported on the new Ghostbusters animated series that Netflix has coming up. There's a few other things on there that are of recent vintage as well. And you can find us on Facebook as well, under Facebook as Film Buff Online, where we, in addition to posting all our stories, links there, we also do some quick news updates when somebody like Gina Rollins passes away. We do on this date in film history posts, just throughout the history, the first 100 years of American and international cinema. And I can be found on the socials at Film Buff Rich on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Okay, you can find all my stuff, JW Movie Guy, on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, also PlayStation. If you want to play some PlayStation, JW Movie Guy on there as well. I don't know how it happened; it just did. You can also find me with this guy. Well, first off, Notebook will remain a classic. Yeah, it's a good movie, and she's great in it. Garner and her are the lifeblood of that movie. You can join us on Monday on this show. It's called Generation Movie, which is in the background already. But you'll find us on Monday. We will be doing this movie here. this movie called The Crow. And it's one of those classic 90s movies that's very 90s and also forever entrenched in our memory because of the loss of Brandon Lee, who was at this point in his career about to become a megastar. Like it was preordained and destined that he was going to be big because of his father, but he had made enough choices and enough small movies, and then this one where it was ordained that he was destined for bigger things. But of course, that did not happen because he died tragically on filming this movie on the set. And so we'll talk about the legacy of this movie, especially with the new Crow opening up next Friday. We'll be talking about this on Monday. And then you can also see me on Tuesday night on Loud and Nerdy on the Indie Escape Network. Thank you for joining us today. 2 more comments before we go. My favorite Garner film was My Fellow Americans. Fair. And how 90s is it? Rhetorical questions. It's pretty 90s. It's got 9 Inch Nails on the soundtrack. It's grungy. And it's got it's R-rated, a lot of action. But thank you for joining us today. Go see Alien Romulus in theaters, and we'll talk to everybody on Monday for The Crow. Mm-hmm. Take care. Avoid those face huggers, people, and stay away from the xenomorphs. They're dangerous.